To Tony. Uh,
A maverick.
yeah. I mean, big personality.
Manchester Maverick.
Did a lot for us. Can be a pain in the arse. I mean, I'd hate to work with the bloke full time. I mean, it was Travis around the bleeding bend. I mean, so over the top. I mean, completely over the top. But a heart of gold. And loved James and said some great, fantastic things in the press. I mean, he compared us to the 1974, I think it was 1974 Dutch football team, and they had this kind of natural kind of grace to the way they played football, and he compared us musically to them, which I thought was the nice thing that anyone's ever said to us.
An unforced natural grace.
Yeah. We were just such pains in the arse. And then we wanted to design the sleeve. Don't like your sleeve, look all this cool stuff, we're going to design it. So I did this horrible kind of felt-tipped cover, we took it in and Tony was kind of going, oh, you want something like this? We go, no, we want that. And he's like, and he was interviewed for the James book, Tony Wilson was, and his interpretation of the chain of events was that they thought it was a great idea, but at the time they didn't. He's lying, they didn't, they hated it. They were so nice, and they really were. I mean, we should have stayed with Factory. I think that's one thing we've all regretted, that we didn't do an album with them. And we just thought, we bumped into problems with them, to be honest with you, which I think were justified. They didn't promote anything because they didn't need to initially, because there's all the cool image that went with it that kind of sold itself on Factory. Loads of people would just go out and buy all the new releases regardless. And that kind of shifted, that emphasis moved slightly. And we suffered. We were in the kind of point where we were stuck in this no man's land where our records weren't getting in the stores, but they weren't promoting them. They were still going, no, we don't do adverts, don't do blah, blah, blah. So we were just like, yeah, but, come on.
They thought if a record was good, that it would sell itself. And their argument for that was New Order. The New Order records, they didn't have to take out massive advertising campaigns or do loads of promotion. It just had its own natural momentum. Which was fine if you'd come from Joy Division, and the lead singer had died and you'd got built up this entire cult. But for a new band who nobody ever heard of, to break them, they didn't see that they had to undertake any kind of commitment to advertising. And we used to argue with them about that, and their distribution wasn't very good at the time. So that was why we started to have these reservations. Their ethos and their idea was a little too generous and a little short-sighted, I think, that they didn't get business savvy until it was too late. That, as in their idea of if the music is good enough, it will sell itself. If the idea is true enough and substantial, if it's substantial and it's true, it will work. And it'll work almost, without any looking after, without any guidance, because it's a good idea and it's fair. It's not what everybody else is doing. It's different, it's unique, so it'll have its own momentum. And I think they found out, too late, as they were sinking, as they owed more and more money. I mean, the biggest debtor really was New Order. Because that's where the twist came, was that New Order were the most successful band, therefore they owed New Order money, whereas all the other bands never actually reached that point of breaking even, so that they owed them money. And they didn't have the cash to pay their debt to New Order. So New Order became bigger and bigger owners of the Hacienda. They got bigger and bigger shares, so they should have seen it then, but I don't think they did. And they didn't, they couldn't, by the end they couldn't turn it round.
Why Manchester? Why is Manchester special in that respect? I mean, probably no other city in the world. Could you give a list of bands from it? I don't know why that is. I think it's easy to look at second cities, and go, you have the capital and then you have the second city, and this is kind of where everybody's trying a little bit harder and pushing a bit, and left to their own devices as well to some degree. And I think that's probably why things happened like they did in the 80s, was that Manchester was left to, the bands were left to kind of find the sound and to develop. The A&M were just too lazy to come here. So bands arrived on the scene that had played a lot, that got a lot of songs, and they were good. And the spotlight was shone on them all at the same time, and it was called a scene. Even though the bands at that point hadn't just arrived at the same time, they'd been playing around for years.
We didn't go there that much, did we, really?
No.
We weren't the 24-hour party people.
No, we hit that monastic streak by then, hadn't we, really?
Yeah.
God, it was hilarious.
Well, they supported us. That was.
Oh, it was hilarious.
It was.
It was just.
They missed the first gig.
It was cartoon, yeah. Well, I think we played.
I know we played the
Ritz.
first gig. They missed the second.
Yeah, we played the Ritz in Manchester the first night, and they were there all right. And then the next morning they couldn't find Sean, and we were supposed to be playing. Well, we were playing Newcastle, and they were supposed to be supporting us, and they couldn't find Sean, and they had to drive around like about 3 hours till eventually they found him. And they dragged him in the van and sped off. And of course they were late for the gig now. And they crashed the van on the way to the gig. Turns up at Newcastle, starts unloading the gear out of the van, and some bloke says, "What are you doing?" Said, "Oh, it was Happy Mondays supporting James because this is Simply Red gig. They're at the wrong venue." So this fella came back in the van, turns up at our gig. They've missed their slot. We're just about to go on stage at this point, and they're like, they pile out the van and the backstage, effing and jeffing and blaming each other for it, this, that, and the other. And it's just like, I was like, oh God, what have we done? What have we done?
Yeah. They were a complete and utter shambles, weren't
they were.
But they were so apologetic.
They were lovely. They really were lovely. And they were cartoons. It was just, what's happened today, and with the Mondays, is everybody here? Just about, I think, yeah. Oh, it was funny.
Yeah. It's like having your own sort of, your daily copy of Viz.
Yeah, it was.
You just didn't know.
They lost the tour support, didn't they? Or lost the tour support.
Lost. yeah. Yeah, one night we came on stage and got backstage, went in the dressing room. No beer.
Everything had gone.
Everything had gone. All our clothes were there and all our money and everything, but the entire rider, all the food.
We knew they'd got a party in Manchester, didn't we? And we're like, I wonder who's done this then? There was security on the door, and they must have got in through the window or something. There's some blocks to outside the door. No idea what was going on.
They completely cleaned us out, and the next day they were like really sweet and apologetic.
I think it was bad.
No, they got this banging party, so they left. As soon as they got off stage, they left, nicked all our beer and set it off back to Manchester for the party.
But they were great as well. I mean, as a band, they were brilliant. I mean,
yeah.
We used to go out there every night watching them, and they were wonderful.